Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 816, 816, June the 20th, 2019, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well, I imagine most of you did what I did last night. You watched the Trump rally. Yes, indeed, that was awesome. Kicking off his 2020 campaign, and I believe that this will be the earliest any Republican has ever kicked off his re-election campaign. Normally, they don't do it till like the end of summer, like September or something like that. So Trump getting started very early, and that's good. And I honestly believe, I mean, that was his 60th rally, and I just think he loves doing them rallies. I really do. And it's amazing that after 60 rallies, he still continues to get even larger and larger crowds. So it's not like it's old hat or anything. And he can go to the same places. He can go to Florida. He can go to Michigan. And these people I know, my sister and brother-in-law, are those same people. They go to Trump rallies every time they can, and they love it every time. I mean, they never say, yeah, well, it's kind of boring, or yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, or anything like that. I mean, they say it's a great time at a Trump rally. I've never been to one yet, but I'm hoping to certainly go to one before 2020. So anyhow, yeah, it was a great rally, and he hit on all the key points, and I think he was in very good form. I mean, I think he's getting better and better, and it's really hard. I mean, it's really hard for a speaker to stand in front of an audience for an hour and 15 minutes and keep them entertained and keep their attention and keep their focus for the entire time. It's not easy to do, and I don't think there's anyone in the Democratic field who can really do that. And so Trump's got he's definitely got a lot of game. Let's put it that way. And he's got a lot of charisma. I mean, his style. I mean, everything. I mean, it's just he's got the whole package when it comes to communicating with his base. I mean, he knows how to do it. At the same time, he tweaks the opposition and forces them into saying crazy things. So he's a very smart operator and a very good manipulator of his political foes. And I think he's going to win 2020 in a landslide, because when I look at the competition, I just don't think there's anyone there that can touch his record or anyone there that can touch him. In a one-on-one debate, he's just going to destroy these people. I don't care who it is, whether it's Biden, and I don't think it will be Biden, but if it's Biden, whether it's Warren, whether it's whoever it is, none of these people can stand on the same stage with Trump. He'll just destroy them, as he did with those Republicans and as he did with the Rotten Reverend. He's a tough person to debate. He's very fast at thinking on his feet. He never has to stop and think about being politically correct and who he might offend, because he doesn't care. And he doesn't necessarily have to have the job, quite honestly. So he's able to go out there and counterpunch and do it right out from the gut, off the top of his head. And that makes it very difficult to debate against him, because you never know what he might say. And responding to him is a lot different than responding to your typical politician, who they all spout off talking points and those types of things. And they also give each other a break all the time on the corruption that they're involved in. And Trump doesn't do that. He calls people out, and he goes for the jugular on every attempt. So he's a very, very tough competitor on a debate stage. And I think he's going to do an awesome job in 2020, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, just talking about Biden, Biden makes a major gaffe every single day, literally every day. And this has been Joe Biden for his entire career, and that's why I say I don't think this guy can last. I mean, he's got to go a long way. It's a long way, and I don't think Biden can. I don't know if physically. I mean, he doesn't look like he has very much energy. He doesn't look very healthy. He doesn't look very good. He sounds discombobulated. He doesn't seem to be able to he doesn't have any energy. I mean, I just don't see anything there. But there's these polls keep coming out. We've seen 2 or 3 of them in the last month, and they all say that Democrats believe Biden gives them the best chance to win. And if that is true, then they're going to get destroyed, because Biden is not a good candidate. He's not a good campaigner. He's got a lot of problems, and as I said, he makes a gaffe every day. And the gaffe he made yesterday was that he's giving a speech, and he drops the names of 2 segregationists, James Eastland and Herman Talmadge, 2 very well-known segregationists. and Biden drops their names and is essentially praising them. Of course, it didn't take long for a couple of his competitors to hit back at him, and this is what I mean. Up to this point, none of the Democratic field have really been hitting him too hard, but at some point, the people who need to displace him, which at this point would probably likely be Bernie Sanders and Chief Spreading Bull Elizabeth Warren, one of those two, if not both of those two, are at some point going to have to target Biden, and I think it will be in the debates that they're going to try to go after him. They'll probably tag team him, and I predict that when they come out of the debates, that Biden will have dropped at least 5, if not 10 points. I think he'll be in the low to mid 20s by the time the debates are over, at which point he just collapses. I just don't think he'll make it even to the end of the summer. I think he'll fall back into second, third, fourth place. He's every single day he makes a major gaffe, and it's just, it's unbelievable. And this is who the Democratic Party believes gives them the best chance of winning. Absolutely unbelievable, and that's another reason why I think that the rotten Reverend Clinton will throw her hat in the ring if she has not been indicted, because she's sitting back looking at the fields, and she knows that if she threw her hat in the ring, if Biden's the front runner in September, if he's still on top and he's still in the upper 20s, low 30s, the rotten Reverend Clinton's almost not going to be able to resist, because she knows she could throw her hat in the ring and at least weighs, her base of support is at least weighs 25% of the Democratic Party. She could throw her hat in the ring and immediately be a top-tier challenger to Biden, and she would probably beat Biden. So, all hands on deck. We'll keep watching. Now, the big story of yesterday was another great investigative piece of journalism by John Solomon, who, quite honestly, this guy, I know he's an award-winning journalist, but this guy deserves a Pulitzer. He needs like 10 of them. I mean, there's nobody really out there. He's head and shoulders above every other reporter I can think of out there in this particular day and age. He's kind of a throwback to an old-school type gumshoe reporter. This dude is solid, man. He is solid. So, anyway, John Solomon from yesterday is telling us that we now learn that the FBI used the Black Ledger to prosecute Manafort. It was also cited in the warrant to SWAT raid Manafort at his home. The Black Ledger, which has now been proven to be false, was alleged to have shown off-the-book payments to Manafort. Now we are learning that, just like the dossier, the FBI was warned that that document, the Black Ledger, was a fraud. Not only was the FBI told it was a fraud, but Mueller's team was told it's a fraud. And the Ukraine's top prosecutor, Nazor Kolodnitsky, is telling John Solomon that he personally warned the U.S. State Department and multiple FBI agents in late summer of 2016 that the Black Ledger was likely a fraud. Also, this State Department special informant, Konstantin Kilmenik, also told the U.S. government after the New York Times wrote their story and after the AP story appeared about the Black Ledger, Kilmenik also told the U.S. government that it was probably a fraud. Remember, this is one of their most trusted assets. Mueller's team was also warned by Kilmenik about the document being a likely fraud. So here we have both the FBI, before and during and after Uncle Bob the Executioner Mueller, both were warned by at least 2 different sources, probably more, on multiple occasions through multiple agencies of the government, FBI, State Department as well, that this Black Ledger was likely a fraud. But they used it anyway. They used it in a citation to get the SWAT raid on Manafort, and they used it in the investigation. Now, I think when they got into court with Manafort, they did not put it back in there in the case to prosecute him. But in the effort to investigate him and SWAT raid him, and to open investigation into him, they did use it. This is a very big problem, because submitting false or fake evidence to the court is a crime. It is a crime. Even worse, we're finding out that Andrew Weissman actually met with AP reporters the day before they published the story. And this is in addition to learning, over a year ago, that Weissman was actually briefing in literally group briefings of reporters about the dossier, which he also knew was bullshit. Man, this is crooked, crooked, crooked. William Barr and Durham must be looking at this stuff and finding this stuff and reading these reports, and they have to be just flabbergasted at what they're learning. I mean, this is the most blatant. It's not just a frame up and all these other things. I mean, this is massive, massive corruption at the highest levels. Not just in the FBI, the State Department, the DOJ, but this even goes into a special counsel. I mean, you appoint a special counsel because you want an independent counsel to look at something because of bias. And what do you get? You get the Mueller team, which is clearly showing that they were just as biased, if not more biased, than the FBI originally that was in charge. Because the same group who was doing the original investigation just simply joined the Mueller team. All they did was add Weissman and some other lawyers, and then it was the same folks. Just unbelievable. I don't know how Barr and Durham can look at this and not be overwhelmed with the criminality. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this ever. I mean, I've seen a lot of crooked and corrupt stuff go on in government. I have never seen anything like this, and it seems to never end. It's every day. Every day we get more and more evidence of incredible fraud and corruption. And, man, these people have to be put out of business sooner than later, because these people are still, in business. And if you're Barr and Durham, you got to be thinking, man, these people are horribly corrupt. And many of them are still there at the FBI and DOJ. Many of them are working for private organizations that are still part of the coup and all the other things that are going on. I mean, this is massive. I mean, this is unbelievable. So we'll have to see what the fallout is from this, and I expect that there will be some. It's just kind of unusual, I guess, that we would find out that the Justice Department, triggered by Attorney General Barr, tells the state of New York that they're going to be observing this transfer of Manafort to Rikers Island, and the letter alone is enough to freak out the prosecutors there in New York, and so they back off and they decide not to send Manafort to Rikers Island. And then the next day we learn about this, and you have to wonder, did Barr and Durham know about this before we did? Before John Solomon wrote the report? Well, likely did, because reporters like John Solomon, a lot of the times before they go with the story, they contact someone at the agency that might be involved in the story, and they'll contact them and say, hey, I'm getting ready to write a story. Do you want to comment on this story? Is there anything I've got wrong here? You want to question anything here? And they'll make sure that they have their story right. So it's very likely that John Solomon had contacted, he's probably had this story for a few days, probably been working on it, and at some point previously in the previous 3 or 4 days, he's probably contacted the DOJ and said, hey, I'm getting ready to write the story, and here's what the story is, and do you have any comment on that? Is there any problem with that? Is there any errors here, or what have you? So, man, there's some things going on here, a lot of things going on behind the scenes we don't know, but certainly we are talking now. I mean, we are talking now about serious crimes committed by the Mueller team. You are not allowed to submit false or fake evidence in a judicial matter. Not in a search warrant, not in a pre-investigation, not in an investigation or anything like that. And you certainly can't go before a judge and produce fraudulent evidence, especially when you've been told the evidence is likely not solid. And in this case, we certainly see from Solomon's reporting that both Mueller and the FBI were told by 2 separate sources who were told are good sources to the government Both of them say, hey, this is bad stuff. It's not true. You shouldn't do any investigation based on this. It's probably fraudulent. But they go ahead and do it anyway. And then after they do it, we find out that, in fact, it was fraudulent. It was fake evidence. If this was in your local jurisdiction, in the town you live in, the county you live in, and this happened with a county prosecutor, believe me, there would be serious issues. That prosecutor would probably be off the case and would likely be facing criminal charges. And I was half joking in the past when I've said that Mueller is probably going to be looking at some jail time, or Weissman and his crew are going to be looking at some serious issues. Now I'm not even half joking. I'm dead serious. If Barr is looking at this with a clear head, and he's simply going by the law, following the law, I don't know how he does not indict Mueller and people on his team for knowingly, purposefully submitting false evidence to a court and to a judge to secure a warrant and to begin an investigation. Man, oh man. There'll be more on this. And remember, this Black Ledger came from Ukraine. And one of the three people involved in this particular leak, because what they did, they leaked the Black Ledger to Isikoff, and Isikoff wrote the story. And that is why Trump had to fire Manafort. He also gave that information to the Rotten Reverend Clinton, her campaign, the DNC, Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS. And so it's just amazing. And what we're learning about Ukraine, and remember, one of those three people, corrupt Ukrainian officials, has already been indicted and has been to court, has been found guilty. He's been found guilty of trying to help the Clinton campaign and hurt the Trump campaign at the same time while providing false evidence and false documents. And one of them was this fake Black Ledger. So, and this Alexandria Chalupa, of course, is up to her eyeballs in all of this as well. And I expect to hear her name is going to come up more when we finally get a report of some sort about this stuff from either Mueller or Durham or whatever. I do expect that this Alexandria Chalupa, she had a much bigger role in propagating this than so far what people are paying attention to. And so I think that hers is a name that is going to come up more in the future, and not in a positive way. Well, yesterday, of course, they had the hearings in Congress on slavery reparations. This is, again, we're living in an extraordinary time in history. I mean, even 5 years ago, when Obama was president, you wouldn't have had this kind of thing go on. He wouldn't have let that happen. They would have stopped it because it is so politically polarizing. I mean, you got to wonder, are the Democrats trying to lose in 2020 and be the biggest defeat any party's ever suffered in a national election before? Because I can tell you that this issue of reparations for slavery has been prodded over the years. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton used to try to push it. It would never go anywhere. No Democrat would touch it in years past. Everyone knows that this is, I mean, you want to lose almost, I mean, I think you could actually lose California and New York if you put this on your list. Now, I fully expect Democrats, once the general election comes, that they'll stop talking about these things and they'll flip and they'll move to the center. This is all to try to win the nomination. But even allowing these hearings to happen, the fact that Nancy Pelosi would even allow these hearings to happen shows you that she is no longer in control of her caucus there, the Democratic Party in Congress. She's not in control. There's no way Pelosi is this stupid. This is the type of stuff that turns people's stomach and makes them turn the channel. And even Democrats, people who've been Democrats their whole life, voting Democrat their whole life, this type of a thing right here, this slavery reparations, is the type of thing that will get literally millions and millions of Democrats to vote against a Democrat. I mean, Trump's not going to forget any of this. In the general campaign, he's going to make sure to bring all of this stuff back up. And he's going to force whoever the Democrat nominee is to stand there and either back this stuff or reject it. And now, once they've come out for it, if he calls them on it in the general and they have to back out of it because they know how unpopular it is, they will drive down the energy and the turnout of their base. So, I mean, they're putting themselves into a horrible political position, and Trump is the benefactor here of this. And I'm stunned, at this point. I mean, I've been watching this stuff for a long time, and I could never remember a time when they would actually go through with something like what they did yesterday. And of course, you had a freak show going on, but you had a couple good highlights as well. You had this nut, Julianne Malveaux, who I haven't heard from her in years, but Julianne Malveaux, big liberal activist, she called the Republicans the devil. She said the Democrats used to be the devil, now the Republicans are the devil. But you also had Burgess Owens, the former NFL legend, who basically told the Democrats that they should pay reparations for slavery, for the KKK, for Jim Crow laws, and for killing 20 million black babies. So I'm sure they weren't happy to hear that, and that's exactly the type of thing that you invite when you have these types of hearings. So slavery reparations is a type of issue that will cost you 80% of the country. I mean, it literally will. It's hard to find even one in 100 people who would, even a lot of blacks, even a lot of Latinos. People just don't see that as being workable. Even if you thought in theory or for some reason it might be something you might do, you can't make it work. There's no way to make this work, not without causing a major revolt in the country. I mean, if they tried to hit me with reparations for slavery out of my paycheck, man, I would be in Washington, D.C. protesting with millions and millions and millions and millions of other people. That would get me on a plane into Washington to protest. That's something that would get millions and millions and millions of people. I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, I've never seen a party committing suicide like this before. I don't know what's going on here, other than the far left has hijacked that party, and Nancy Pelosi no longer has any control. I mean, literally, AOC is running that party, and she's nuts. So, after Trump's speech, we have Commie Bernie coming out and saying, of course, the only, the pat talking points, the only thing he can probably remember at this point, besides $15 an hour, is calling Trump racist, sexist, homophobic, and a religious bigot. Now, how many times have we heard that? Has he done anything that would suggest that he's a racist? As far as actions, what actions has he taken that you could say are racist? None. How about sexist? None. How about homophobic? None. How about religious bigotry? None. See, this is just nonsense. It's just stuff that spills out of Bernie's mouth. When he opens his mouth, this is the stuff that comes out. And Commie Bernie, if he's the nominee, he'll get destroyed. He'll be lucky to win 5 states. Unbelievable. At the same time, we have Kamala Harris saying that arresting illegal aliens and deporting them is racist. You see, they're going to try to do this entire campaign in 2020. They can't run against Trump on the economy, on foreign policy, on any of that type of stuff. So they're going to try to do the entire 2020 campaign for the next year and a half. They're going to do nothing but try to beat Trump up over just labeling him these names. But people don't. This stuff doesn't work. To win elections, you actually have to challenge people on a policy position or policy positions, and you have to make a better case. You're not going to win. In fact, you're going to lose really badly if the only campaign strategy you have is to go out and point the finger at someone and call them names. This is not how you win elections. And Pelosi knows this. The DNC knows this. The big donors know this. It's just unbelievable. I mean, we're witnessing this could be the end of the Democratic Party. I mean, they could lose 48, 49, 50 states. I didn't think it was possible anymore. I thought, after the late 80s, we got to the point where I didn't think you could ever have like a 47, 48, 49 state landslide like Nixon and Reagan had. But, man, you start talking about reparations, you start talking about this kind of stuff, man, oh man, it may be possible. And, of course, at the same time, we got Trump out there in a speech last night just destroying the rotten Reverend Clinton, reminding everyone that she deleted 33,000 emails that were under subpoena. And, of course, she turned the State Department into a pay-for-play cash machine, which is exactly what she did. And certainly Bill Barr and Durham and others, I assume, are looking into this. And, You know, I still believe that there are going to be some indictments for Clinton, because I don't know how, if you have an honest attorney general who says he's going to enforce the law, equal justice under the law, and Barr seems to be, at this point, I've given him the benefit of the doubt. If he follows through and does what he says, there's no way he can not indict the rotten Reverend Clinton. She's guilty of many, 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 many crimes, big crimes. And I think in the case of the rotten Reverend Clinton, though, Barr knows her very well. I'm sure Durham has watched her as well over the years. And the rotten Reverend Clinton and Slick Willie, they're very slick, and they manage to wiggle off the hook every damn time. So my thoughts here are that if Barr and Durham or Huber, whoever it is that's working on this, when they decide, if they decide, and I think they probably will have to indict the rotten Reverend, I think in this particular case, they're going to make absolutely 100% sure that they have all their ducks in a row, that they have an airtight case, and one that they cannot lose. They're going to make damn sure they're not going to let the Clintons wiggle off the hook the way they have in the past. If they're serious about bringing them to justice, I think that they're going to look at the history and think, hey, you know, this is the Clintons we're talking about. So let's make absolutely sure we've dotted every I and crossed every T, because these folks are slick. They will wiggle off the hook, and let's make sure that we have an airtight, slam dunk case when we go to trial, if it goes that far. So we'll just have to keep watching, but it is just amazing what we're living through. These are extraordinary times. Of course, again, keeping with the theme, I mean, the Democrats destroying themselves. We have Ocasio-Cortez, the wild-eyed commie. She's now doubling down on the comment she made about about there being concentration camps down at the border. And not only did she double down on that after she got severely abused for doubling down on that, she's not backing off, and she's taking a tremendous amount of heat for it. At the same time, she rebounds off of that and goes back to attacking Amazon. And the thing about it is, the former press secretary for Obama, Jay Carney, is now a VP at Amazon. And it was him who commented and responded to the wild-eyed commie. And he responded to her by telling her to stop making stuff up about Amazon and to actually do something in Congress. And so here you have even a former Obama administration official going after Ocasio-Cortez. She is like poison. She is like poison. And she's obviously in charge of that party right now. Pelosi's obviously terrified of her, because otherwise they would never tolerate this. It's a freshman congressman. And I'm telling you, in years past, a freshman congressman went out and did this kind of crap. Man, oh man. But Pelosi seems paralyzed, unable to do anything with her, or terrified, or both. I mean, we are literally watching the end of the Democratic Party as we know it. If they go out and campaign in 2020 and they have no issues to campaign on, and they do nothing but point the finger and call Trump the orange Hitler and say he's a racist, a sexist, a misogynist, and all this kind of stuff, at the same time they're pushing for late-term abortion, post-birth abortion, open borders, tax increases. Biden out there yesterday promising to raise your taxes. Same thing Mondale did when he lost 49 states actually. I mean, this is, I mean, if you wanted to destroy a political party, I don't know that you could come up with a better plan than this. Unbelievable. My daily check of the Papagalopoulos tweets shows that Papagalopoulos is saying that William Barr, should be looking at Greg Baker and Terrence Dudley and also Robert Palm. Now, these are the three individuals, these two for sure, Baker and Dudley are the two DIA guys, Defense Intelligence Agency guys, who approached Papagalopoulos on the very morning that he got the email from Alexander Downer's assistant to set up the meeting. So the very same day that he gets the invite to have a meeting with Downer from Downer's assistant is the same morning that he gets a visit from these two DIA guys, and they're asking him about his energy policies and his work in energy in the Middle East, and asking him about the Trump campaign and his work for the Trump campaign and all this type of stuff. I mean, this should not even be happening. What are these guys doing talking to a guy like Papagalopoulos? It shouldn't be. And then, of course, this other guy, the CIA guy, Robert Palm, I'm not sure exactly where he fits into the puzzle, but Papadopoulos obviously feels that he is important, and so he's throwing tips out there for Barr, who I'm sure Barr has probably already read Papadopoulos' book and probably knows all these characters and is probably using some of that information in his investigation. But you got to wonder, and the question that Papadopoulos is asking, and many people are asking, it's the logical question, who was it that was ordering these guys to do this? I mean, we're talking about these guys are DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. Who would have been ordering these guys in London to make contact with Papadopoulos? Who was ordering this CIA agent, Robert Palm? Who was he? Who was ordering him? Was it Brennan? I mean, this is going on in London, where Gina Haspel is in charge. Papadopoulos also saying that Alexander Down the Hatch Downer was Clinton's errand boy. Clinton's errand boy. Just as I suspect. I suspect that, as I've been through this, I won't go through the whole thing again, but just a brief version of it again. Remember, Misfit drops the stuff about Russians having dirt on Hillary or Hillary emails on Papadopoulos in Rome, Italy. Then, and remember, Papadopoulos was sent there by the folks at the London Center. Then Papadopoulos goes back to London, where Halper has dinner with him to try to extract that information out of him. But Papadopoulos doesn't cough it up. So then what happens? Well, they're freaking out because now Pops didn't come off the stuff. So they have to bring in someone else. And it's very likely that the Clintons would have turned to an old friend, Alexander Down the Hatch Downer, to go in and get it done. They would probably call him and say, look, we need your help. Here's what's going on. You got to go sit down and have dinner with this guy. And then at some point, you're going to be given some instructions from someone else. They're going to tell you what to do. Just go have dinner with Papadopoulos and take him to task over his energy policy and various other things. Just go have the meeting with him. That's all you have to do. And we'll give you further instructions. So, yeah, I think it's very likely that the Clintons may have directly tapped Alexander Down the Hatch Downer. And I don't know if that's going to be proven true or if it is true or whatever, but if it ever was to be proven true, I mean, that would be the slam dunk right there. But we'll just have to see. It's just unbelievable that we're watching this play itself out like it is. What else? Something else that's unbelievable is the fact that CNN is still on the air. Their most recent ratings show that there is not a single show on CNN, not a single one, even including their primetime slot, not a single show on CNN that's getting even 200,000 viewers. And see, I think one of them's the daytime show is getting 126. There's another one getting 150 some, and another one getting 196, just shy of 200,000. And I think it's Anderson Cooper's getting like 100. No, he's not even getting 100. He's getting like 80,000 or something. I mean, and keep in mind that they have their TVs in all the airports. I mean, if you took CNN out of all the airports, international airports, and out of all the places, the public places where they're played, they probably wouldn't have 10,000 viewers. I mean, I don't know how they're staying in business. It's unbelievable to see what is going on. I mean, I feel like when you look at everything that's going on, it looks like we're witnessing an entire meltdown of the left, of the deep state, and the whole 9 yards. That's what it looks like right now. Whether or not it turns out that way, I'm not sure, but it certainly looks that way now. I mean, my goodness, the Democratic Party, I've never seen anything like this. The deep state, they're collapsing and crumbling. Their lies being exposed more and more every day. Now we find out the Mueller team was involved in providing false evidence. I mean, this is just bizarro world, man. It's bizarro world. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. You guys have a good night. See you. Bye.